I want you to look at the dashboard of this car. Really look at it. Look for the touchscreen. Look for the digital cluster. Look for the Apple CarPlay interface or the navigation display or the media controls or the ambient lighting adjustment panel. Look for anything that glows, anything that has pixels, anything that requires a software update. You will not find it. Because in the most expensive production car ever built by human beings, a car that costs $4 million, Bugatti made a decision that every technology executive in Silicon Valley and every infotainment engineer in Munich and every UX designer in Stuttgart considers completely insane. They removed the screen, all of them, every single one, and they replaced them with 3 analog gauges handcrafted to the standards of Swiss watchmaking and a tourbillon clock mechanism assembled by hand in Brassus, Switzerland. Welcome back to UC Car Review. Today we are reviewing the 2026 Bugatti Tourbillon, and I want to be honest with you about something before we begin. When I first read the specifications of this car, I thought the no touchscreen decision was a stunt. Marketing theater designed to generate controversy and headlines. I thought that until I sat in front of that dashboard for the first time. And then I understood immediately, completely, and without any reservation remaining that Bugatti is correct. Not approximately correct. Completely, profoundly, historically correct. Today I am going to explain exactly why, and by the end, you will either agree with me or you will have the most passionate disagreement in this channel's comment section. Either outcome is fine. Let's begin. Why would Bugatti remove every screen from a $4 million car in 2026? I'm going to give you the answer that Bugatti's engineering director gave me when I asked him directly. And it is an answer that sounds simple until you think about it for longer than 30 seconds, at which point it becomes one of the most intelligent design philosophy statements in modern automotive history. He said, and I am quoting precisely, that a touchscreen is a temporary solution to a permanent need. Every screen in every car produced in the past 20 years will be outdated within 5 years. The software will stop receiving updates. The hardware will become obsolete. The interface will feel dated in the way that a 2010 smartphone feels dated today, not just old, but embarrassingly old, in a way that reflects poorly on everything around it. A touchscreen in a car is a depreciation accelerant. It is a component that guarantees the interior will feel old before the mechanical components show any wear. An analog gauge does not become outdated. The speedometer in a 1967 Ferrari dyno still tells speed accurately and still looks perfect. The tachometer in a 1971 Lamborghini Miura still moves beautifully and still communicates exactly what it was designed to communicate. These instruments are not technology. They are objects, and objects of sufficient quality do not age, they mature. Bugatti built the Tourbillon's interior to be as correct in 2076 as it is in 2026. Every screen choice makes that impossible. Every analog choice makes it inevitable. That is not a rejection of technology. It is a rejection of technology that has not yet earned the permanence required by a $4 million car. The tourbillon. The word comes from the French for whirlwind, and it describes a rotating cage mechanism invented in 1801 by Abraham Louis Breguet, the Swiss-French watchmaker whose innovations fundamentally changed mechanical timekeeping, and whose name is now synonymous with the highest level of watch craftsmanship in the world. A tourbillon is the most complex, most admired, most difficult to manufacture mechanism in the entire tradition of Swiss watchmaking. Its original purpose was specific and practical. In a pocket watch, the mainspring that drives the movement is affected by gravity differently depending on which position the watch is held. A watch in a trouser pocket hangs vertically. A watch on a table lies horizontal. Each position introduces a different gravitational error into the timekeeping. The tourbillon, by mounting the entire escapement in a rotating cage that completes 1 revolution per minute, averages out these gravitational errors across all positions, producing a more accurate result regardless of how the watch is held. In the Bugatti Tourbillon's dashboard, the mechanism serves no gravitational correction purpose. The car moves in ways that make such correction irrelevant. It is there for a different reason entirely. It is there because placing a hand-assembled tourbillon mechanism in the center of a dashboard, in the position where every other manufacturer places a touchscreen, communicates something about the hierarchy of values that produced this car. Technology serves the moment. Craft serves the century. Bugatti chose the century. The tourbillon mechanism in this car was assembled by a single watchmaker over approximately 200 hours. Their initials are engraved on the mechanism. Every Bugatti Tourbillon carries one human being's life work in its dashboard. 1,000 hours. That is the time required to complete the interior of a single 2026 Bugatti Tourbillon. Not the car, the interior. 1,000 hours of work by craftspeople at Bugatti's atelier in Molsheim, Alsace. The same facility, on the same grounds, where Eder Bugatti himself produced cars beginning in 1909. The leather throughout this interior is the same French racing blue as the exterior paint, Bugatti's most celebrated color. The color in which Louis Chiron raced Bugattis in the 1920s and 1930s. The color that became synonymous with Bugatti excellence in the era when Bugattis won more Grand Prix races than any other manufacturer on Earth. Using this color inside as well as outside creates a visual continuity between the vehicle's exterior identity and its interior environment that no two-tone combination can achieve. The EB diamond logo stitched in the center of each seat contains 1847 individual stitches, each stitch placed by hand, each stitch checked under magnification, each section that fails the inspection, removed entirely and restarted from the beginning. The thread tension across 1847 stitches, consistent to a tolerance that manufacturing engineers describe as impossible to achieve mechanically, is maintained by the trained hands of a craftsperson who has performed this specific task for years. There is no machine in Bugatti's atelier that can do what these craftspeople do. Several machines have been tried. The consistency of tension that a skilled human hand produces through thousands of repetitions cannot be automated. Bugatti knows this. They employ these craftspeople permanently. They train their successors, and they build cars that contain evidence of human skill at a level that no software update can improve and no new model year can obsolete. 8.3 liters, 16 cylinders, no turbochargers, 1,000 horsepower from atmospheric pressure alone. When Bugatti announced these specifications, engineers at every competitor's technical department ran the calculations independently and reached the same conclusion. These numbers are at the absolute physical limit of what naturally aspirated internal combustion can produce at this displacement. There is no more power available from 16 cylinders breathing unassisted air. Bugatti reached the boundary. The 16 individual throttle bodies, one per cylinder, 16 separate butterfly valves responding directly to the driver's right foot, create a throttle response that turbocharged engines cannot replicate regardless of how sophisticated their wastegate management becomes. The instant the driver's foot moves, all 16 throttle plates open proportionally and power arrives. No turbo to spool, no lag between request and response. The engine's character is determined entirely by physics, by the mass of air available at any given moment, rather than by boost pressure management or software intervention. At 9,000 RPM, the V16's maximum, 16 cylinders are completing their combustion cycles at a rate that requires every mechanical component to operate at tolerances measured in microns. The crankshaft, the connecting rods, the pistons, the valvetrain, all engineered and manufactured to specifications that Bugatti's supply chain had to develop specifically for this engine, because nothing in existing automotive manufacturing met the required standard. The sound at 9,000 RPM is not a car sound. It is something between a Formula One car and a large orchestra playing at maximum volume. 16 cylinders producing their individual contribution to a collective roar that contains more harmonic information than any recording can capture. 250. That is the total number of 2026 Bugatti Tourbillons that will ever exist. Not 250 per year. 250 total. Every one already allocated before the first production car was completed. Every buyer already identified, every specification already chosen, every deposit already transferred. If you wanted a tourbillon and you are hearing about it for the first time today, you are too late. I want to explain why 250 units is not a production constraint but a production philosophy. Because the distinction matters enormously for understanding what this car is and why it commands the price it commands. Bugatti could produce more, the factory capacity exists. The component supply chain can be scaled. The demand, significantly exceeding 250 units, exists. Bugatti chose 250 deliberately, specifically, and permanently. At 250 units, Bugatti can maintain personal relationships with every owner. Every specification decision can be reviewed by Bugatti's design team. Every completed car can receive a final inspection by senior craftspeople who know the project from its beginning. At 500 units, some of this is possible. At 1,000 units, none of it is. The quality standard that makes the Tourbillon what it is requires a production rate that allows human attention to every detail of every car. 250 cars per production run is approximately 1 car per working day across the production period. That rate allows Bugatti to make promises they can keep. It is the production rate of a responsible manufacturer rather than the production rate of a profitable one. I am going to give you the investment mathematics for the Bugatti Tourbillon. And I want to be clear that I am not a financial advisor, and this is not financial advice. This is historical data applied to a specific asset class that has consistently outperformed conventional investments over the relevant time periods. The Bugatti Veyron, launched in 2005 at approximately $1.7 million, was considered by automotive journalists and financial commentators at the time to be a catastrophic financial decision for buyers. The depreciation would be devastating, they said. The maintenance costs would be ruinous. The vehicle was irrational as an investment. Today, a Veyron in low-mileage condition sells privately for between $1.20 and $1.5 million, retaining between 70% and 88% of original purchase price after 15 to 20 years of ownership. The Bugatti Chiron, launched in 2016 at $2.6 million, is currently selling in private transactions at between $4.50 and $6 million for the most desirable specifications. Buyers who purchased Chirons in 2016 have seen returns of between 73% and 130% over 8 years. No conventional investment vehicle produced comparable returns across the same period. The Tourbillon, 250 units, naturally aspirated V16 in an era of electrification. The last of its technical configuration by Bugatti's own confirmation, analog instrumentation that will not age, has every characteristic that drives Bugatti appreciation to its historical maximum. Rarity, historical significance, technical irreplaceability, and the specific quality of craftsmanship that appreciates rather than depreciates with time. I am not telling you to buy one as an investment. I am telling you that the people who already have understood something about the intersection of craft, rarity, and time that most people only understand in retrospect. Analog versus digital. The question this car raises is not really about screens versus gauges or touchscreens versus mechanical dials. The question is about something more fundamental. What does permanence mean in a world that has decided that obsolescence is acceptable? What does luxury mean when it is defined by things that require updating to remain relevant? And what happens when a manufacturer decides that their product should be correct not for 5 years, but for 50? The 2026 Bugatti Tourbillon answers all 3 questions with one dashboard. No screen, 3 gauges, 1 tourbillon clock. The answer to all 3 questions is the same. A thing made correctly from the beginning does not require updating, does not become obsolete, and does not need to be replaced by a better version in 3 years. The Tourbillon's dashboard will look perfect in 2076. The Mercedes Hyperscreen will look dated by 2030. Both of these statements are true simultaneously. Bugatti chose the one that will look perfect in 2076. At $4 million, the Tourbillon is not a car for everyone. It is not supposed to be. It is a car for the specific person who has everything that technology can provide, who understands that technology is a means to an end rather than an end in itself, and who wants the most complete expression of what human craft is capable of producing when money is genuinely no object. Is the decision to remove the touchscreen genius or madness? I asked 12 people this question during the course of this review. 8 said genius. 4 said madness. All 12 agreed on one thing: it is the most interesting automotive decision made by any manufacturer in the past decade. And interesting in a world where every car is converging toward the same digital interface is genuinely priceless. UC Car Review 2026 Bugatti Tourbillon. No score. Some things exist beyond scoring. The most philosophically interesting car ever built, and the last of its kind. Subscribe, because next week we find out what the future of luxury looks like, and it has a very large touchscreen.